picked this up at the toy convention for a pretty good price, half off, and I could use these in the game itself, but mostly I'm just going to paint them because I think it'll be fun to paint and put these together. And it's actually been a little while since I painted some Warhammer stuff, so I think that might be pretty fun. Goblin Mushroom. Yeah, I think it might be fun to kind of arrange these in a diorama of some kind. I'll try and find the pictures of my other Warhammer Underworlds models. Yeah, so it comes with cards, a deck, and you do like build and customize your own deck to play this game. Yeah, there's instructions. I can't imagine it being too complex. So let's get started. Let's actually work on this a little bit and see where that takes us. I guess we'll update our status. Moss to fungus. I know, it's very natural evolution. Alright. Gnarly. I feel I spent so much money at Pop Mart this weekend. Really shouldn't have. Did you buy more than the model that you showed? Which is really cool, by the way, and I really want one now. Mossy roll. Mossy roll. Ebo mossy roll. Alright. Yeah, let's put one of these together and then we might take a break. And we'll continue. Yeah, if you look, the detail is amazing on these guys. Already, I'm just so impressed with the detail. So cool. And one might think that all that detail would actually make for a more challenging job of painting them, but it actually makes your job easier, especially if you rely on like things like dry brushing or washes to just like kind of flow into the cracks and the crevices. It can make your life pretty easy. Well, this guy's complete. Wait, oh, he belongs to a certain base, 11. Alright. It's got some different size bases too. Yeah, I think it might be really fun to paint these. Fungi-mon? It's great for collecting, gaming. I mean, like, I think if you find the right people to play with, if you've got a cool gaming group that aren't like, you know, just out there to power game and win, then it can be fun. Alright. Okay, I just loosely fitted this guy in and we have to trim them, but boom, that's one model done. We did it. One model in the books. You know, they look like they're from the Dark Crystal or like some kind of Jim Henson thing. That's like the feeling I get. Alright. 22, 24. Let's get those out. 22 and 24. Old time. Fastest Warhammer builder. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I believe that... So, again, it's been a while since I've built Warhammer stuff, but I think that they make push-fit models like this. And that's not too different from like Gundam stuff, you know, push-fit, snap-fit. And then they make a number of models that are still, like, glue is still required, so they made these much easier for people to get into. Speaking of Games Workshop, they just recently had their Golden Demon competition in Essen. That's the event. I think the event is called Spiel in Essen, Germany. Yes, I think that's the breakdown. And yeah, the quality of painting was astronomical, was out of this world. Amazing work from builders from all over Europe. There quite possibly may have been some Americans that went down as well, but I believe there's an American competition. Yeah, amazing stuff. 25 and 23. Buddy goes to a lot of locals. I think he just played some Kill Team the other night and had a great time. Yeah, I think it's... if you can find the right people, it can be good. But like in my time playing the game, I definitely ran into a lot of great people, and I ran into a lot of you know, a lot of power gamers. I guess that might be the most polite way of phrasing it. A lot of power gamers. 23. We need this as well. 26. Okay. It's foot. Yeah, the detail is so crazy. I'm not used to, after having built like Gundam stuff for so long, where the models are mostly like flat surfaces with a bit of detail every once in a while. These are so like concentrated in detail on like a per inch basis. it's kind of blowing my mind actually. Power gamers. What does that entail? It entails, so the more powerful you are as a gamer, the stronger the odor you emit. So that's the first thing you need to know. There you go. Lack of deodorant, there you go. People with no chill. I feel like there are still, you'll find them wherever you go in any hobby, the no chill individuals, even in Gunpla. No place is truly ever safe. And I think that there's a lot of folks out there that don't even realize how much chill they are lacking in, and they think that what they say and do is normal. They think that they're normal, but they're not. No, but yeah, I'm sure many of you have encountered such people. It's just the way of things, especially when you get into like a very niche hobby, and you'll run into a lot of folks that are just very enthusiastic about their hobby. They don't even realize that that sometimes you gotta chill. Gnarly, I can imagine. He's also said as much. Some folks a little tough to be around, play with. Yeah. Gone to Yu-Gi-Oh recently. Oh boy, oh boy. Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not surprised that Yu-Gi-Oh is still around to this day, but what I am surprised by is like the disparity between like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. I thought it would be a lot closer, but Pokemon is way more popular than Yu-Gi-Oh by like, I don't know, like a lot, double, triple. Again, like at the conventions that I go to, you're almost guaranteed to see some kind of Pokemon representation, which is to say Pokemon, the card game. And it kind of makes me think that the card games are more popular than the video games in a weird way, because it just seems, at least around these parts and the circles that I move in, it just seems way more popular than the games. Whenever a game comes out, people have something to complain about regarding like the graphics and stuff like that. And all I see is a lot of people that just collect and really enjoy the Pokemon card game. Hate the current Yu-Gi-Oh scene. Glad I quit. They had to add a rule telling you to shower. Wait, is that in the rule? Is that in the manual? When you buy like a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh starter deck? Is that in the manual? Rule number 1. Basic hygiene. Yeah, it's a tournament rule. I did notice things like that. I didn't know it was like an official tournament sanctioned rule though, which is pretty damn funny. Deodorant starter pack. Yeah. So, speaking of tournaments, I don't know if anyone has been paying attention to the whole Tekken World Tour tournament stuff, Gnarly or Bacon or anyone else. It's pretty interesting. So, there was a Tekken World Tour major that happened this past weekend called Tiger Uppercut, like Thai, as in Thai, Thailand. And yes, XCC. So there was there was a player from China who entered the tournament. They took his money. They registered him and everything, and he continued to make it up the bracket. He continued to win all the way up to like the not the finals, but like the semifinals or something like that, top 8. At which point they were like, "Oh, you can't actually be in this tournament, so you're disqualified." Like, that is crazy. What the hell? And so a lot of people were talking about this on Twitter, and a lot of folks were hitting up Harada, what's going on. He wasn't present at this event, I don't think, so he was trying to find out what was going on. Bandai officially released a statement saying something along the lines of his country, which is China, is not allowed to be a part of this tournament, and so he was disqualified. And we understand that this result is upsetting for a lot of people, and we're making sure that something like this doesn't happen again, blah, blah, blah. But it's like... And so, as far as I know, there isn't any concrete, like, 100% reason. We don't have the actual reason why this happened, but some people speculate that it has something to do with like certain countries not being allowed to participate in events like this in relation to like the tournaments being organized by like Japan or America, and that maybe special permissions have to be made from the American side if someone from China is going to compete in a tournament, and those licenses, those permissions weren't processed from Bandai's side. That's something that Bandai needs to do, and that's something that, for example, Capcom with the Street Fighter World Tournament Series, the Capcom Cup rather, that's something that they make sure to follow the proper necessary procedures. But other countries like Russia, for example, are also like not allowed to be a part of various tournaments like this, and it sounds like China might be lumped into that as well. Again, a lot of it is speculation at this point. At the end of the day, though, it's really stupid that they allowed this guy, and he's like 18 years old. I don't think he's even 20. It's really dumb that they took his money, like his registration fee. They let him register, all of this stuff, and maybe they were secretly hoping that he would get eliminated. Right? That he would get eliminated before like the finals or even the semifinals, so that they wouldn't even have to deal with this messy situation. But lo and behold, he actually climbed up the ranks and made it. And yeah, in the official statement, which you can find on Twitter, they talk about how like they're not even allowed to get Tekken tournament points. Like China, it sounds like China in general just isn't allowed to be a part of this tournament, the Tekken World Tour, at all, which is surprising to me. Are you telling me that this whole time there wasn't anyone from China that competed in the Tekken World Tour? That's pretty nutty to me. But it sucks. It really does sucks. Probably relates to international tensions and stuff. Yeah, and if that's the case, I could see why they wouldn't want to fully like explain the situation, or maybe they even can't, right? They can't really truly get into the full reasoning, but it just sucks. And also, one thing that I read a lot about, or had been picking up on Twitter was this notion of like, the fighting game community is really starting to lose its way when things like this happen, right? Because you're kind of getting more into like esports, right? And we're kind of losing sight of this notion of like the fighting game community. Anyone can compete, anyone can join in. All that matters is if you're strong. All that matters is if you compete, how good are you? That's the thing that people respect the most. and yeah, so here was someone that was from a country that might not be permitted to take part in these events, and he was good enough to make it to the semifinals or something like that, and yeah. All that was taken away from him. And he's a young guy too, again, which really sucks. Very childish. Been against it since the announcement. It's because we discriminate. It's a band, I think, for the series Tekken World Tour. China and Russia are two of the regions. I don't know if there's more. Right, yeah. So shitty. Same thing with Valorant. Oh, lots of Russian players with a gray flag. Spent time and money. Yeah, they need to refund this guy. Like, honestly, they should never have taken his money in the first place, right? Like, at least give him back his money. They can't give him back his time. I mean, if only there was a Chinese-made fighting game that he could play. He needs to, or some game that they allow people from China to play. Well, I think, yeah, Street Fighter, right? Like, obviously Street Fighter. At this point, he should probably just play Street Fighter. Play Mortal Kombat. Tio said nothing when he first rushes. No, evidently not, right? It's a really bad look for Tekken and Bandai, and they've already been taking lumps like for the past few weeks, right? With the whole stage select thing, and Harada has been like making comments on Twitter and then deleting them, and yeah, all in all, just a bad look. I'm sure that they'll have to come out with a more comprehensive statement soon, because this kind of thing is only really going to build steam. Like, it just happened over the weekend, and I feel like I don't think that the initial response was satisfactory enough for the community. So yeah. If I was him, I'd play something else. Not a lot of info. Yeah, the statement I don't think was like satisfactory enough. I mean, maybe they thought that would be enough, but they might need to like talk about how they intend to ensure things like this don't happen again. They need to fully flesh out or explain their rules regarding certain countries that are not permitted to participate, and precisely why they aren't permitted to participate. Asking more costumes, yeah, it's like the least of their worries, dude. Like, Street Fighter's in a pretty good place, all things considered. I mean, you still have people complaining about Street Fighter, of course, but yeah, if you're complaining about costumes, that's like totally fine. Also, interesting to note that like one of the main things about Street Fighter V was the abundance of costumes, specifically for Chun-Li, really helped to like support the game. Like, it really helped to bring in like revenue for the game after its launch for years and years. And to me, the fact that they're not really leaning as heavily into that means that the game is doing well monetarily in other ways. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's actually kind of a good sign. consider for future TWT seasons, ignoring the present. Well, we'll deal with it later. We'll deal with it later. Pretty nutty, though. Yeah, mostly feel bad for that guy, though. Right, yeah, so I'm sanding the parts down. This is a little tricky in the sense that, like, these are very, very small pieces. We gotta sand them down nicely. I wonder what plastic this is, actually. I forgot. Does it say on the runner? No. 2022. So cool. So there was a situation with, okay, fill me in, Bacon or anyone else if you know about this, because I don't know the exact details, but there was a situation with the Sajam Slam for Street Fighter where they had Doki Bird and they had someone from the organization that she used to represent, that she used to be a part of. And so it seemed like there could potentially be some tension there, but ultimately I think it ended up being fine, and there really wasn't anything, there wasn't any friction, but there could have been. Interesting, though, that these things can happen. There's a punishment game where the pro gets zapped if their student... Holy shit. That's crazy. A punishment game. God damn. Nothing happened. Something could have. I know. But you have to understand that, like, in the world of VTubing, like, even something that seems so, like a non-event like that, in the world of VTubing, it's like, this is all people can fucking talk about on Twitter. It's not beef so much as it is, like, on the... like, the company side, right? I suspect that the individuals are cool, and Doki Bird herself, she is independent now, but she used to belong to the same... Yeah, okay, Bacon, Doki and the other girl, forgot what her name was, aren't allowed to interact on stream, but outside of that, they're cool. Yeah, so that would mean that, like, Sajam had to kind of, like, delicately navigate the tournament structure such that to ensure that they would never have to encounter each other in the tournament, right? It's just the agency being a bitch because Doki used to work for them, yeah. But that agency itself, my understanding, is, like, the least liked agency out of all of them, right? Out of, like, all the big ones. Petty, yeah. Lore and politics, I know. I just hear about it a little bit because obviously I, like, follow Sajam, right? Hella petty. Alright. Hella petty. It's crazy. VTuber banter? Yeah. There was some stuff about, like, a Street Fighter a tournament event that involved Doki Bird and someone else, and effectively, like, the agency that the other person was a part of had, like, a stipulation that Doki Bird could not interact with this person. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, yeah, the English branch. That's is it important to make that distinction that it's the English branch because the Japanese branch is more acceptable, or is it still the same bullshit? Bitch, bacon. Damn, bunch of bitches. All right. Yeah, some very very fragile parts here, which I'm going to be careful not to clip. Terrible reputation, right? Yeah. Well, Doki herself, right? She used to be a part of them. But that's got to be really satisfying for her to like leave and be like, you know, still popular and possibly even more popular than ever. That's got to be pretty satisfying. Slightly less drama in the JP branch, but the boss is the biggest problems. The boss. You gotta take out the boss. There we go. Cool. Ah, okay, I see. I feel like there's a little bit of the, on the left side of his head, like the, I don't know, the hood that drapes down from the side of his head. I feel like there could be some extra material. It seemed to kind of just terminate abruptly there. So that might be something that I might have to sculpt or add as a piece of plastic and kind of sculpt it in. But yeah, this is crazy looking. Again, it's been a few years since I've painted a Warhammer thing. And I am just completely blown away by the detail. Let's take a look. Wait, do I have my... Mention in Obama and No Pants stream? There we go. Just put it there. Look at that. The detail is insane. Holy shit. And this model itself is like smaller than most like human models, right? A human or a gob or a orc rather, or like a Khorne berserker barbarian, a space marine. All of those things are going to be much larger than this model. So again, just like the concentration of detail here is wild. Jay Leno. Oh, she's played with them. Cool. All right, so we've got one guy down. Let's move on to the next. This guy here was very easy to put together. We just gotta clip off these little bitties. Yeah, I think it'll be fun to paint these. And kind of go nuts. Last year and the year before, I did a Halloween build, and I would kind of like to do one again. I have a loose idea in mind, and I even have a figure in mind that I'd like to use, but I'm just trying to think ahead of time and see if I can finish it all within this month, basically. cut this off. Ba, 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 ba. By the way, Ashwin, I don't know if you're still around, but did you happen to watch Joker 2? It's not called that, I know, but I was seeing a lot of negative reactions to it, and then I saw the reviews, and also very negative. And there was some folks talking about the ending, and how the ending was, like, kind of bad. So I was curious, so I looked up the ending, and I even found someone that just, like, bootleg recorded the ending. And I have to say, it's pretty dumb, but that's just me kind of, like, speaking from, like, a perspective of no context. Like, I read, like, an overview of it. I won't spoil it. But man, I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me put it that way. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, Ashwin. I'm also someone that I haven't even seen the first Joker movie. I really didn't have much desire to watch the first Joker movie. I know that you did. Most of our friends had seen it. Bacon had seen it. But I was just like, I don't give a shit. Interesting about the musicals, that actually might have been something that would have gotten me interested. That's an aspect of the movie that might have actually appealed to me. I'm not a huge fan of musicals, but if a musical is done well, it's a very transcendent experience. A musical that's done well is just like, it's just so memorable. But really well done musicals are few and far between, and it sounds like this one is not a well done musical. Jokio Drift. Yeah, it seemed like it was gonna be a one-off situation, Eshwin, but then it made so much money. It made so much money that, like, the executives must have been like, well, shit, we gotta make a sequel now. It might have even been a situation much like The Matrix, where they were like, we're gonna make a sequel with or without you. Unnecessary sequel? Oh my god. But yeah, sometimes I'll just look something up, just because, like, it's unlikely that I'll actually watch the movie in the near future or ever. And yeah, it definitely seemed like one of those movies where it was like, yeah, like I said, it's kind of not fair for me to, like, judge the movie having just, like, read the spoilers and watched, like, a clip. But at the same time, like, fuck. At the same time, it's kind of like, oh boy. I really need to know what Ashwin has to think about this. Ashwin or Bacon or our non-streaming friend Buck Gunderson. Like, the first half of The Matrix 4 was just Lana telling us how bad... Yeah, if it was just, like, set within, like, the corporate world and all that bullshit about, like, trying to make a game and how, like, Keanu Reeves is just some guy... that would have been actually pretty compelling, but then they were like, oh, we have to make, like, we're, like, obligated to put all the Matrixy bullshit that people have come to expect. There we go, we've got 2. Look at that, we're up 2 Goblinos. 5 more to go. Goblinas? $12 and $13, let's go. 12 and 13. Here we go. Go and see, I just don't want to Give them money, yeah. Joe Four jokes on you, good lord. Makes for movies useless all hands meeting, 1-1s, earning calls. Real sequel to Joker. Bo's Afraid. Oh, I haven't seen that, but basically, I haven't seen any Ari Aster movies up until like last October. And then I became a big fan, so I should watch that at some point. Buzz Afraid's fucking masterpiece, says Vanilla. Yeah. Is it a wait? It's not necessarily a horror movie though, is it? Because I need to watch some new horror movies for Spooky Month. Latest favorite new filmmaker. Don't think it's horror. Wild surreal movie. Art picture. It's an art picture. It is an art picture. Come watch Bo is Afraid. Smell your own farts. Have you come to watch the art picture? Felt real anxious. Oh, I don't know if I want to subject myself to anxious feelings. That's I don't know, dude. Like, my whole fucking life is anxiety. Spooky movie? Well, well, well. Depends on what you lived. It's kind of horror-y if you have mental health problems. Okay. Okay, understood. See it with someone else, you can laugh through the anxiety with them. Hereditary's diner scene is a very good example of building anxiety and tension through the mundane. Yeah, that was an awesome scene. Yeah, agree. Saw with your bro, and we're both mentally ill. Dope. Sick. I was gonna ask how is your brother, but it sounds like he's mentally ill. Shout out to your brother, though. Wow. So, like, this model, he's good, he's Medicaid, gotcha. One thing that you'll notice with a lot of Bandai model kits is that anything that's pointed, whether it be a V-fin or a weapon or some part of the armor that's usually like very sharp and pointed, it's often kind of rounded out and smoothed out, or sometimes there's an extra kind of like safety nub to those points so that people don't hurt themselves or kids don't really injure themselves. This model kit here, many of the parts come to a much more sharper point, and many parts are actually quite thin, which again is something that I find, at least with high grades, probably the best example, high grades, they will not often have parts that come to such a fine point. And this is like crazy. I would never have expected them to make a knife so pointy and so thin. Might be hard to see. Might be hard to see, but yeah, holy shit, that is... Like, I've taken Gundam parts and have sharpened them so that they do come to a point, but not to this, not to this point. The Wailing, Spooky Month, is it fairly new? The Wailing, no, I have not seen that. Are there whales? Is it like the Voyage Home, Star Trek? The Voyage Home? No, I'm sure it's like whaling, like, oh, 2016? Okay, gotcha. Ba-da-ba. Not as good as the whale, probably. Asian horror? Ooh, Asian horror. Let me straighten this out here. Asian horror. Is that your favorite flavor of horror? Asian. Sweet and sour. Beef. Oriental. Oriental flavor. Shudder is an all-time favorite of mine. 2004 from Thailand. Shudder, no. Haven't heard about that. Let me jot these names down real quick. Fudge. Where is my... Oh, there we go. Let's write this down. Shutter. Not to be confused with Shutter Island. Thailand. Thai flavored. Whaling. Oh. And the Ari Aster movie, which is not horror. Although it might depend. Beau is Afraid. I'll just write that down. Ha la la la. Asian waifu ghosts can take you. Arch is just, take me! I'm not gonna run away. Just take me. There we go. Yeah, truth be told, the fact that... So I kind of suspected it was going to be a musical because of, like, Gaga's involvement, as well as, judging by, like, the theatricality in the trailers. And I was kind of okay with that. I was kind of thinking that might be fun. Now, it sounds like those musical parts do not hit. And I was saying, like, when it's done well, a musical is kind of like amazing. I still really like The Sound of Music, for example. But more often than not, when it's done poorly, it can really just drag the whole thing down, and that's what it sounds like is happening with this movie. I am skipping to the very last model, because the last model is a squig rider, and I love these squigs. And in Warhammer, squigs are like these giant balls of muscle and flesh with teeth. And they're really funny. Basically, the Goblin Army in general is just a very humorous, comedic army. So I find them to be that way, at least. I think nowadays with 1 and 2, nowadays with Age of Sigmar they may have kind of gotten away from the humor a bit with the setting in general, but the goblins are still funny. One and two, 4 and 3. 1 and 2. Okay. There's only 2 runners. Okay, 4. Oh, here's 2. This is like the hindquarters of the squig. One thing that's really weird with the layout of these models on the runner itself is that, like, the way that they're all chopped up and stuff, to me, it doesn't really lend itself well to conversion to customization. It used to be like the models kind of broke down into very, like, understandable parts. Like, there's like a set of arms, there's a set of legs, the torso, and the head, for example. But nowadays, you'll find that. So this part, for example, you'll have a portion of the squig, which is the mount, and then sculpted and connect the rider with when it comes to VTubers, and they come up with like a pet name for like their chat, right? So they'll call their chat like the noodle packets, the sauce packs, or some shit. Like, that's not a VTuber. But in general, there's often you'll see like pet names being given to chat, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, Arch, because it's a way to kind of like homogenize 100 people, like 1,000 people. It's an easy way to kind of turn, 60 into. It also makes the people in chat feel like they're a part of something. Do you know what I mean? So you lose your individuality, but you're also now feeling like you belong to a group, you belong to something. It's kind of interesting how that works, and that's why I often would joke about how, like, I don't have any kind of pet name for chat or anything. A lot of you guys are practice good enough. I want to find a Warhammer, a Gundam model to paint really quickly. I would like to do something much like the gun tank, where I was able to paint it fairly quickly. But I'm not sure what I have in my backlog that fits the bill. Gotcha's model kit and Lego god. That's my gotcha. I found my gotcha game, guys. Oh my gosh. Any more? Oh, actually, yeah, I do. I do have one artifact model. That is true. I mean, yeah, it kind of depends. The one artifact model that I painted, I ended up taking a decent amount of time to paint it, but I think I was just being a weird guy. I think that's just me being me. There we go. Let's use a sponge. Once we get these all assembled, I'll probably go back to building the horse. The horse, of course. But once I get this guy assembled, we'll move on. Okay, these two halves come together. More horse for the hobby hole. Blood for the blood god. Yeah, interesting. I was just thinking of Bungie. They have announced that they're going to switch over to the Unreal Engine for their next game. They put out some pictures and some footage of their next project, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's truly a full-fledged game project, or is it just like working off the new engine, just trying to see what Halo looks in that new engine. So there was this comment that went along in the video that went alongside of it, this announcement of the new studio. It's now just called Halo Studio, and the move to Unreal Engine. There was this comment from one of the devs saying like they were basically a technology company and a game studio, like a technology studio and a game studio at the same time, which is to say they were making an engine and making a game at the same time. And that's just, yeah, the Halo Studio thingy, that's just a lot of work, especially in light of these other game engines that exist that can get the job done. And you have so many developers that are used to working with Unreal Engine at this point. Asking someone to work for their studio, work for Bungie, or rather not Bungie, work for Halo Studio now, formerly 343, and learn a game engine, like a unique game engine from the ground up, it's just kind of like a lot to ask. So the theory now is that they'll have a lot more, it'll be a lot easier for them to design their games, to build out their game, and have less problems with like the programming side, or rather the graphics engine side, the engine side I should say, because that's all kind of like taken care of at this point, I guess. I mean, that's very promising, so we'll see how it all kind of breaks down. I think a lot of us at least tried Halo at some point in time, probably played it with their friends. I'm someone that was never huge into Halo, but nevertheless I still played a decent amount of it with my brother, had a lot of fun with it. It's just not like my main game, and yet it's kind of sad that that franchise now has really fallen off in popularity compared to things like Call of Duty, and Call of Duty itself has probably fallen off quite a bit compared to something like Fortnite. So you have like, it's like what do I want to say? It's like, it's two games removed from being like the game. It used to be the game, and it hasn't been that case for a good long while. And the question is, can it return to that space? I don't know. There's a lot of mismanagement going on with many game studios out there. But it seems like with Halo, it's very hard to please everyone. Gotten to that point where it's been going on for so long that like, how do you even make a game that's going to resonate with so many different people that might have a very different idea of what Halo actually means? Never played Halo. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they're pretty fun. Honestly, if Halo were to ever come out for PlayStation, I would buy it. I would definitely pick it up. There we go. Plus the level of scope that these engines and games are built to now. Yeah. Like Halo Infinite was supposed to be this new era for Halo games where it was going to introduce open world and stuff, but I think chasing the whole open world thing is kind of a mistake. And so many games get caught up in trying to like be this amazing open world experience, but are they actually satisfying? Do they really do anything with that? This era has seen the death and slump of a lot of things, but hey, it can only go up from here. Yeah, and I have played a handful of like what you would call like AAA games. I would guess like Dragon's Dogma 2 was like a AAA game in terms of budget and all of that stuff. Ultimately though, like I'm very much happy to just play things like Astrobot, which costed like, I imagine, far less. And I would say it's still a very ambitious game, but it has a certain very specific scope, and it doesn't try and overreach from that scope, and it's just an incredibly satisfying experience. And then there's games like Disco Elysium, which I talked about earlier, which is, I'm very early on in it, but it's just so fascinating. It's such a unusual game that it still has a lot of familiar things from like computer RPGs. It has that like isometric top-down perspective. It's got menus, it's turn-based, it's got dialogue choices and shit, but the presentation is so fascinating. I want to talk about it more, but I wonder if I should take a break first. Maybe we'll take a break and then we can get into it more. Here are the 4 little goblin guys that I've made so far. Check out this guy. He's so cool. He's a squig hopper. He's mounted on a squig. Looks so cool. Look at that. Awesome. Again, it seems very much inspired by something out of like the Dark Crystal or like Labyrinth, or yeah, something like that. It looks so cool. Henson era kind of inspiration. And I think that's something that wasn't really present in previous iterations of the Night Goblins. And that seems to be something that they've leaned into more with like in this modern era of Age of Sigmar. And I think that's pretty neat. Yeah, Labyrinth, yeah. Stay tuned, Disco Elysium segment of the show. That's right, stay tuned for some Disco Elysium chat. But yeah, I was just saying how there was a lot of different miniatures there, including the Marvel stuff, but they also had Dark Souls miniatures and the Witcher miniatures. Again, all fairly respectably discounted. Like it was kind of tempting is what I want to say. But the difference in quality is just, like, I knew that the Games Workshop models were going to be much better. And holding them in my hands now and working with them, it's just very clear to see just how nice they are. But like, yeah, the Witcher miniatures and the Dark Souls ones, they're so simple, they're so basic. And I think, at least in the case of the Dark Souls ones, they originally were for a board game, and so maybe like the expectation wasn't as high to have like really, really nice models. Arch, so wishlist do you get on sale? Heard there's couch multiplayer. Spike had to hand the reins over to Banco. I don't know, Arx's Banco stuff. Murky, gotcha. It's definitely not going to be at Evo. I think that would be fun though. Unofficial side bracket, yeah. Like, I get it, but at the same time, at the big anime convention that I went to over the summer, there was a pretty sizable crowd watching people play one of the Naruto games, which are kind of similar, right? What do you even call that genre? Are they called like anime arena fighters? Is that what they're called? What would you call this genre? 3D action whoop-de-doo games. Arena fighter? Okay. I was trying to push 3D action whoop-de-doo. Feel good. I'd love to see Gundam XVS. It's a main game at EVO. Is it EVO Japan? Yeah, I think that EVO Japan tends to like pretty much mirror the same games that end up at EVO Vegas, EVO USA. With the notable exception of Mortal Kombat. It's like, yeah, the same roster, the same games, no Mortal Kombat in Japan. Gee, I wonder why. Anime muda muda muda. Does that feel clean enough? Still a little bit of nubbage. But what would you say feel good about the Requiem for Vengeance models? Is that a recommend? I was already kind of thinking I wanted them, but yeah, when you showed it off, I was like, shit. All the detail, it just seems like a really good opportunity to do some washes, some weathering, some dry brushing. Seems really good for that. Makes me think like inevitably there's going to be an American produced Gundam movie, live action movie, and it just makes me think maybe they're going to kind of gravitate towards that sort of look. Do you know what I mean? This is like the first little foray into the realm of like cinematic looking Gundams. There's a lot of crossover with fighting game players in XVS, but unfortunately I think it's still too niche and non-traditional. The Brett, Unlimited Brettworks often runs side brackets and streams them at regionals. Top 8 finalists for the 40 players who entered that event. Be nice and fast. Recommend the kit, says Feel Good. I would classify it as a semi-real grade. I think the Gundam EX will approach RG even more. That's really interesting. The kind of way that these classifications have been bleeding into one another. Well, how does this go? I'm gonna try and... Oh, okay. This doesn't make sense to me. Oh! Does it go like this? I should probably look at the instructions, but I don't feel like it. Okay, that's how it works. It's very funny. And I think this might be a situation where I'm going to keep these two parts separate because it's going to be really hard. For example, this goblin's face is completely obscured by the shield here, so we're going to just simply keep that not glued. So in fact there's 8 models because 2 of them are stacked on top of each other. Excellent kits for a first timer. Hit of the crack. Man, Yeah, I was just saying how it's really interesting seeing how these models are kind of bleeding into the different kind of categories, and you have things like the Witch from Mercury kits, which are high grades, but they almost feel a little bit entry grade like, but then in some respects they feel like slightly above a high grade. And then you have something like the Moon Gundam, which again I would say is bordering on a real grade. And I like that. I like that there's a lot of variety out there. And it's really fun for me to see like the different kinds of engineering, the different kinds of design like techniques that they apply, and the things that carry over from one franchise to another. Or not franchise, but like from one category or series. High new. Oh really? High grade new. I have not built one of those. I'm interested. Okay, Gnarly saying American Naruto. He's a high school student who now gets bullied by a guy who calls him Geek Ruto. Geek Ruto. Ba-ba-ba. Easy grade. EG's economy grade. Economy grade. Alright. Let's do a little trim here. So again, I want to show you guys the detail on this model. It's so cool. We've got some fungal growths emerging from the wooden shield here. I'll get on the exam. Art's gonna have a cheat sheet. He's got his on the palm of his hand. He's like EG, HG, RG, MG. And he's like running out of space. He's like, wait, MGSD. Wait, what the heck is that? But did you know there's like two kinds of HGs? So there's the HG that we all know and love, the high grades. But then Bandai had a line of models. I've talked about this before, but they've had a line of models that were also called HG, but it stood for something else. What is that something else? The clock is ticking. Arch, can you answer this question? An HG that stood for something else. I feel like they might have even had like a third HG that meant something else. I'll look into that. Hard graph. Great. You're close though. It's hard graph. Yeah, and so they had recently put back into production one hard graph kit, which was 1 in 1/44 scale, a Zaku with a bunch of weapons and a bunch of smaller kind of incidental vehicles like the little hover bike thing and little tanks. And so that was hard graph, but also, and again, I talked about this before, but they've made like 1 in 35th scale models like a giant tank and a giant Gundam arm and stuff like that. Yeah, more diorama-y, yeah. Or more like, okay, hold on. Let me get this next guy out. 21. I think it was a bit of an effort to appeal to armor scale modelers, people that build tanks and stuff. The models kind of felt like they were going after that, and the scale as well. Less mobile suit. Little war guys in jeeps, yeah. Did you know that, as far as I can tell, the side of Bandai that produce the artifact kits, they are not the same division that produce like your standard Gunpla that we all know and love, like the high grades, the EGs, the PGs, the MGs and stuff. They're kind of considered a totally different branch of Bandai, and they're also not considered usable for the GBWC. It's kind of weird. Hey, being Sage with the raid. Oh, the raid didn't... Did the raid thing pop up? I didn't see it. Did you guys see it? What's up, being Sage? Thank you so much for that raid. How you doing? How you doing? No raid thing? Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to take a look at that after stream. That's not right. Thank you so much. My apologies. I was not made aware of the raid. But how you doing? How you doing? Hopefully you are doing all well. And what were you doing on your stream, Sage? Raider grade? How's it going? I did a lunch break stream. Short. Heard the piano in your head. Alright, here, hold on a second. Let's give a shout out to Being Sage. Thank you so much for that raid. Working on Star Wars Droideka.
Oh my god!
Okay, that worked. Droideka. Okay, I'm going to have to investigate because that should not be the case. Shout out to Being Sage. Working on that Droideka, that's very exciting. Is that like fairly large? It's not like a small little guy, it's a pretty big kit, is it not? But yeah, appreciate it, and I would assume that you're going to have to skedaddle at some point soon. No problemo. I will be here working on some Warhammer stuff, as a matter of fact. We have a couple of these little goblin guys on the go. I'm working on the last one, and I just really love all the detail. It's really cool. Being Baka. Decent size, but it's not huge. I can hold it in my hands. Decent size, decent girth. Let's normalize girth. We have to take back the term girth. Really cool. Have the same kind of vibe. That like War in the Pocket and 8th MS team. Droideka. Alright. Back to this. This is the last remaining dude. Arch. Alright. Okay. I'm kind of thinking if I should paint these guys in the old color scheme of my old Night Goblin army that I painted when I was a teenager. Or should I give them a new color scheme? We'll see. We'll see. Sorry, not sorry. It's average, okay? It's what you do with it, okay? Where's the tiny little face? Did I cut it out already? Not sure if I cut it out. What's good, feel good. Yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by. Appreciate it. And again for that raid. We are just plugging away at this Warhammer situation. It's the first Warhammer thing that I've touched in probably a year or so. A new Warhammer thing, probably more. I did get some old Warhammer stuff, sometimes referred to as Old Hammer. I got some Old Hammer stuff like a year ago from an old friend, and that was actually very nice. It was a very nice gesture from an old friend who got in contact with me, found out that I was like still like painting and doing all this stuff. It was like, hey, you can have this. And it took a while to get to me, and actually Bacon acted as an intermediary. He held on to that stuff for like a couple months before I was able to get back to Toronto and pick it up. But it was actually kind of nostalgic. It was very nostalgic, in fact, to receive these models from my friend from childhood, which, you know, we haven't really talked in many, many years, but I remember going to his house and like seeing all the old miniatures, seeing all these miniatures that he had, and it was so cool to see all this Warhammer stuff. He wasn't like the first person to introduce me to Warhammer, but he definitely was like, because I felt like I discovered it independently, but he kind of like showed me that there was a whole lot more to just like the miniatures, and that there was a game and there was all this stuff, blah blah blah. And then I was the one that kind of continued and got mega obsessed with it. All right. 17 and 19. 17 and 19. All right. Hanging in there, ready to go home. Nice. I find that like if there's an update to something, whether it be on the OBS side or the Twitch side or something, it very well might have disrupted something happening on, like, for the other things that I have going on, including the raids and all of that. So I'll take a look. Oh shit, it's Jose. How's it going, Jose? Nice to see you here. What up? What up? How you doing, Jose? Good to see you as well. Yes, indeed. So it is. Are we? It's soon, is it not? Are we talking a matter of weeks, a matter of months before the triumphant return of Jose Mochi to America, to the American shores? Yo, that's exciting. I bet you're super excited, huh? That is very exciting. Do you think you're gonna have a 24-hour stream? Didn't you do that last time? You built like 3 kits in a single day or something. I'm exciting. I am exciting. I am exciting. You know what? Let's give a shout out to our pal. 16 hours. Still mega impressive. Let's go for 17 this time. Shout out to our pal Jose Mochi, currently away, but coming back very soon, and I'm excited for that. Jose, tremendous builder, tremendous customizer with Gunpla, playing a lot of games lately. How are you liking Forever Winter? You're playing that, right? Am I crazy? I thought I saw that you're playing that. How are you liking it? The art style in that game is unbelievable. So cool. I think I'll wait a little bit before I jump on because it. You know how some games release in early access, but it's actually kind of like a marketing ploy, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's more or less done, but we're calling it early access because that way, you know, you're not going to be too hard on us if there's something wrong with the game. That game seems to be truly in early access. Like they're still kind of like hashing out ideas, still hashing out like refining aspects of the gameplay. That's my interpretation of it, at least. Unboxing, ooh. Love the game, go and scavenge and survive. Yeah, that was the appealing thing, aside from the artwork, was like the concept of like how there's these two warring factions going at each other in a huge conflict, but you're not involved in any of that. You're just some guy trying to survive. I love that idea.
Mission start.
Joe, mission start. How's it going,
Easy
Joe?
operation.
The easy operation. How's it going? How's it going? Nice to see you here. Nice to see all of you here. Did I press enter, by the way? I did. Wait, did I shout out Jose? Yeah, I did. So that's Jose. Please check out Jose. Please check out Joe. Oh my gosh, both of you are here. Remember? I would get you both confused. And I would talk to Jose thinking he was Joe for like a solid 5 minutes until I checked the chat again and like, oh my god. Or vice versa. And let's shout out. But I am Joe. Good lord. It's happening. It's happening all over again. Feel good. Shout to Feel Good. I'm not sure if I shouted him out already, but so nice. We'll shout him out twice. Hung out on his stream last night for a bit. Very cool. Haha Joe or haha Jose, good lord. And then on my brother's stream, you guys were like changing the color of your name between Gnarly. Oh, practically everyone. That was. Ugh. If you're Joe, then who's Jose? Oh no. The great mystery. But yeah, hopefully you guys are all doing well on this Monday. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Hopefully your weekend was restful and productive. I know that Joe had to take a minute to make sure I was referring to the right person. But I know that Joe went to a IRL build night at Argama Hobby. And how was that, Joe? What'd you work on? Jose is saying, I am Joe. I got the emotes. Oh god. Oh god. It's happening all over again. I just want to get this nubbage completely out. Away, away. The nubs. You know, I was also just thinking now, like, I'm very impressed with these models as I'm looking at them with my own two eyes, as I'm sort of working with them and seeing all the detail. But honestly, when they first were revealed, and I'm someone that was a very big fan of goblins in, like, the original Warhammer setting, I felt like these were kind of like a shift into a different direction that I wasn't entirely with. I wasn't entirely down with. But now that I'm looking at them, I feel like they're not really that far off from that goblin idea, the goblinoid idea that I've had in my mind and that I like about goblins. And that perhaps it was more of like a paint job issue. Maybe it was more of like this what you would say is like the official factory standard paint jobs. Didn't really sell me on the models. And now that I'm looking at them in the bare plastic, I can see the potential. Oh my god. Made it into Sin's video? Oh, cool. And then Jose, good lord, you guys are terrible. Gnarly, yeah. Yeah, everyone was green. Joe, I got parts off Aomeka and we decided to do a build based on each other. Oh, that's cute. So his task is to make an incredibly handsome Gundam with amazing hair and a strong jawline. I think I think you gave him a very challenging task. Okay. I'm not looking at the instructions. But I feel like this is how it should go. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Oh me, oh you. Oh, Jose, thank you so much for that subscribe. I appreciate it. And I'm talking to Jose. I just want to make sure that... Thank you so much. Yeah, the alerts are down. My apologies, everyone. I will investigate that later tonight or immediately after stream. But yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the sub. And please enjoy your farm to table locally sourced cruelty-free emotes. The real Jose, thank you for always being awesome, and I still got that letter. Big loves by Joe. By Joe. So confusing. Oh my god. But yeah, that was an aspect of like this year. Was it mostly this year that like was really cool? Was like receiving stuff in the mail from all of you guys. That was super cool, super nice. Appreciate it. From folks like Old Type and Vanilla and Arch, Fiasco, Doku, Chook. Did I say Old Type? Old Type. The list goes on and on. It's very kind of all of you. We were talking about that too on Old Type stream about the questionable nature of some of the items I received from him. I looked at it just once, and I kind of looked at it, and it seemed fairly thick. Like, it seemed surprisingly thick for a magazine for a manga of this type. But actually it was a fairly quick read. I just kind of blazed through it immediately. Whoa, look at all these cheap viewers. We got a twofer of cheap viewers. Garbage time. Yeah, I feel like they're coming out in full force, and frickin' losers. Oh, okay, hold on. What's this? What happened here? What'd I do? Let me look at this. After stream. But yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the sub, and please enjoy your farm to table locally sourced cruelty-free emotes. Yeah, I flubbed my spiel. Spiel flub. Hey, my name is my name. What's up? How's it going? How's it going? Appreciate it. How you doing? The alerts are not functioning today. I don't know what happened, but I will investigate later. How you doing? Flummoxed. How you doing? Yo, yo. What were y'all doing on your stream? Appreciate it, dude. It's fun hanging out on your stream as you were working on the model, the Gundam, and you were showing me some of your plans to use like a fluorescent type of paint to do the panel lining. That was cool. Jim plays on Fortnite and Persona. Oh shit, Persona. Wait, which Persona are you playing again? 3? And let's shout out My Name Is My Name, aka Duo. Purse owner. Very cool. Loved hanging out on your stream. Sounds like Duo might have some Mecha Musume in his future, which I completely endorse. I am a big fan of such things. What's this? Persona with cheese. Ah, Royale. I see. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, actually, I haven't played a Persona 5 Royale. I just played the regular Persona 5, and I liked it quite a bit. The new game from the same developers is out very soon, and the reviews are out. It's called Metaphor Refantasio or something like that. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to hold off. I'm sure it's going to be a good game, but I'm kind of like, let's just wait and see, and maybe I'll pick it up in a year or something. But the reviews are so good that I'm like, damn it! It's getting such good reviews. I don't know if I can ignore these fantastic reviews, but I don't know. We'll see. So who else? Is anyone planning on getting that game this year? Project Refantasio. It sounds like it has all the Persona things that you would like. Really good music, good combat system. The combat system does have something akin to like the Personas, and like the push system or whatever they call it. So it sounds like if you enjoyed the Persona games that you would probably like that. But I think I'm gonna chill. We'll see. First one, cousin got me. Persona is playing it. Oh, okay, okay, cool. Yeah, shit. I feel like I think I would just feel really guilty about buying it though, just because I've got so many games on my plate already. I should probably, just like the backlog situation, need to tend to the backlog as I'm building new models that I just bought over the weekend. Like, yeah, thanks again, Duo, for the raid. If you've got something you need to do, gotta eat, you gotta sleep, gotta walk the dog, etc., please go right on ahead and do it. No problems. I'm building some Warhammer right now, some Warhammer goblins that I just picked up over the weekend. And this is like the first Warhammer thing that I've worked on in a good long while, so it's kind of fun to get back into the groove. Nope, says Arch. Understood. Time, bro. Get ready to walk the dog. Nice. So there's a lady that lives in my building that has a cat, and to me it's almost like the cat walks her, and that she doesn't walk the cat. First of all, walking your cat is already pretty unusual, I think. But I see her around sometimes, and the cat is like perched on her shoulder as she's walking around, which I think is really funny and really cool. Honestly, if I if I had a cat, that's what I would want. Perched on my shoulder, like a familiar. Did the demo. Just haven't tried it yet, yeah. It's just kind of weird how things like this happen from time to time, where like if this was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I would be absolutely day one, no questions asked, like of course I'm gonna buy this game. It's from the people that made Persona. It's got the same music, it's got all that jazz. Why would I not buy that? But 2024, you know, obviously video games aren't the only thing that I'm interested in. I've dabbled in a lot of different hobbies, obviously getting into model kit building and stuff, and suddenly metaphor shaped, like the crescent moon is a very consistent image amongst goblins in Warhammer, and so that's what you're seeing here. It's also made of metal. This chin part is like, yeah, it's supposed to be kind of like a metal mask. So interesting. Yeah, and they can summon like a spell, which is like a giant yellow moon. Consume beverage. I gotcha. Alright. Let's put these guys away. I've got them all here. And so yeah, that's 7 models, but in a weird way it's kind of like more than 7, because this one here is actually 2. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is actually 2 goblins stacked on top of each other, which is pretty cool. And again, this is a model where I'm probably going to have to paint it in separate parts, because that's just going to be too challenging to paint it as it's assembled. And this as well, I would consider this almost like 2 models, because of the rider and the mount. So all things considered, getting it half off for 25 smackaroos for Warhammer stuff is pretty good. Warhammer, notoriously a very expensive hobby, but if you can get a good deal,